Woodlawn Manor Cultural Park celebrates Maryland Emancipation Day. William Lloyd Garrison, an abolitionist, said, "Enslave the liberty of but one human being, and the liberties of the world are in peril." On November 1st, in 1864, Maryland emancipated Blacks who had been enslaved since the founding of the Maryland colony. In 1633, the ships Ark and Dove set sail from England. They arrived on the eastern shore of Maryland in 1634. When the colony of Maryland was established, most Blacks were treated as indentured servants who could work towards their freedom. When tobacco became Maryland's primary crop, more people were needed to grow the product. To that end, Maryland passed a law in 1664 enslaving Blacks and their children for life. These enslaved human beings were considered property. Frederick Douglass said of slavery, "The thought of only being a creature of the present and past was troubling. I longed for a future too, with hope in it. The desire to be free awakened my determination to act, to think, and to speak." Black men and women who were held in bondage sought only to be free. Many of these freedom seekers, like Frederick Douglass, self emancipated themselves and eventually were assisted by abolitionists to escape bondage on the Underground Railroad. In Sandy Spring, Maryland, home to Woodlawn Manor Cultural Park, some Quaker settlers who founded the village freed those that they had enslaved in the mid 1700s. These free Blacks built a freemen's kinship community in Sandy Spring that still exists today. While there is no documented evidence, it is believed by some that some Quaker families and freed Blacks in the community supported freedom seekers on their journey north on the Underground Railroad. Frederick Douglass stated, "Civil war was not a mere strife for territory and dominion, but a contest of civilization against barbarism." On November 6, 1860, in an election that brought the new Republican Party to national power, Abraham Lincoln was elected president by a strictly Northern vote. 4 days later, on November 10th, Senator James Chestnut resigned his Senate seat and returned home to South Carolina to draft an ordinance of secession. The map shows the divisions in the country. The light blue states are called border states because these states during the Civil War created a border between the Confederacy and the Union. Maryland, in particular, due to its location near the capital, was of great strategic importance. President Lincoln's goal during the Civil War was to preserve the Union and prevent the Southern states from forming their own country. Ending slavery was not part of the original Union goals. In 1863, with the war still raging, Lincoln freed the slaves in the Southern Confederate to appease the Northern Union states who by majority had elected him to office. An additional reason for freeing those enslaved in the South was to encourage these new free men to fight for the Union. The Emancipation Proclamation freed slaves in states that were in direct rebellion to the United States. Maryland's Constitution of 1851 had forbidden passage of any law abolishing the relation of master or slave. To that end, Maryland had to write a new amendment to its constitution. Governor Augustus W. Bradford, in his annual message of 1864 to the General Assembly, sought passage of a constitutional convention bill in which the issue of slavery would be addressed. The predominantly Unionist legislature promptly complied, and the electorate approved the call for a convention. The Montgomery County delegation included Edmund P. Duval, Thomas Lansdale, and George Peter. The vote for emancipation for those enslaved in Maryland tipped in favor of abolition only after the absentee ballots of soldiers fighting for the North were counted. The final tally was 30,174 in favor of freeing the slaves and 29,799 against. On November 1st, 1864, Blacks enslaved in the state of Maryland were emancipated. No longer were Blacks legally bound to labor for another, deprived of the human right to be free, or considered no more than property. Article 24 of the document reads that hereafter in this state there shall be neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except in punishment of crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, and all persons held to service or labor as slaves are hereby declared free. To learn more about Maryland, emancipation, and the Civil War, we have listed a few resources to assist you. Woodlawn Manor Cultural Park is part of the Montgomery Parks system and is a division of the Maryland National Park and Planning Commission. We thank you for joining us for our presentation on Maryland emancipation. Please visit our website and Facebook pages for information on upcoming programming at Woodlawn Manor Cultural Park.